when you consider where they are in this cycle of things, the belief was, okay, you use all these resources to get you to the top. They're closer to the bottom right now, but the resources are still very valuable and need to be utilized here for them to get back into a position to succeed. And it's pro scouting, it's amateur scouting. Like, I don't know where things stand on that. Not that I would expect, every year there's some State of the Union from the Leafs. Like, this is who we've hired, this is what we have, this is where people are. But as you know, Johnny, you're following. I mean, the games, the individual games are losing meaning because they're 10 points out and it's ugly. Like we'll break down the games. We're talking about players, of course. But the scope is starting to expand. It's becoming more of a big picture conversation. What do they do? How do they get out of this? And they got to be crafty, right? They got to be creative, crafty, and they got to win. They got to find some guys like diamonds in the rough. They're long overdue for that. I don't know how they're going to do it, but that's got to be the expectation, doesn't it, Johnny? They got to find some young guys that can step in and play over the next couple of years that maybe other teams don't see the value in.
Feel like that's a lot of pro scouting, amateur scouting, player development, right? Whether it's college free agents, whether it's European free agents, whether it's other guys in organizations that you believe you can extract more value from, that you see something that they don't. Yeah, 100%. The focus of this organization today, of course, it's on the games and tomorrow night and 3 and 4 and all the rest. But it's really for them to get to where they're trying to go, which for the last 7 years, to their credit, it has been about trying to win that year. And they've been close enough to warrant that conversation. Yeah. We can debate how close they have been, but it's been the focus, and it should have been the focus. Not so much anymore. Now it's about, okay, what do we do with this team? How do we get it moving forward? And Hayes, to your point, how do we find some ways to win some transactions? Like, that's what they got to do. And then be, good with what they decide to do and the assets they acquire and how they manipulate it all around. Yeah. That's a jigsaw puzzle that is extraordinarily complex, but that's what the people who have that job, Brad Treliving and his group, all of them, that's their job right now. And their job is as important as it has ever been to make the Leafs not be in this situation next year. And a lot of talk, lately about rebuild, Prong saying take it down to the studs and all the rest of it. And, the idea sort of taking it down to the studs would be to what? Get a franchise player, to get elite level talent. Like, taking to the studs is not going to get them a player better than William Nylander or a player better than Austin Matthews. You would take it down to the studs and hope you get 3 years of Austin Matthews. Like, they already have the thing that you get it to the studs for, which is like the super high end players. You can dump Matthew Nyes in there as a really good player. It's all the other stuff that they have sort of, they've missed on some, they've aged on some, they've injured on some, and it's all sort of chipped away at what they were supposed to be this year. And they have to find a way to get that all back to where they think can surround those core pieces and be a better team next year.
So, Johnny, where do you start? I mean, if you're Keith Pelley, do you decide, okay, this is the group that I want to make these decisions moving forward? Like, do you think that first and foremost you go, Tree's my guy? You have to either, I don't know if you have to come out and say it, but you just go, we need to do this. Tree, you're the guy who's going to execute it. Chief, you're the guy who's going to coach it. Like, do you think it starts there, or where do you think they start and move on from there?
If I'm Keith Pelley, I sit down and have a meeting with Brad Treliving. What's your vision of the future of the team? And I hear it. And then if I believe in it, okay, how do you make that happen? And if I hear it and I believe in it, then he's my guy. I don't know if I need to say he's my guy. I've already said he's my guy. But if he's not, or he doesn't have the vision that I think we should go on, and I'm the ultimate boss, then I would change that guy. And then whether it's Brad Treliving or whoever that next guy might be, again, if I'm running the team, now I take that vision and where we're headed. And that vision includes like how we play and what our style is and X's and O's. And I go to Craig Berube and I talk to him. Okay, this is how we play. How do you think we should play? If I agree, Craig Berube is still the coach. If I disagree, or the new GM or the old GM, if he's still there, disagrees, then it's a different coach. Like, I think that like the world as the Leafs have known it for the last 9 years, which has been a great run. I think I read somewhere in the last 9 years, they have the third most wins in the regular season. They've been a model franchise, incredibly successful without playoff success, okay? That's well established. They're not that team right now. They want to get back to that team, but they're not that team right now. And if it's so, I have that evaluation noodles. GM, okay, yes, no. Coach, again, yes, no. And then have a vision where we're going, what we look like, how we get there. And I also want to say, like, how we play when we get there. Like, I don't, what style are we going to have with this new vision that we're going to go forward with, and what's that going to look like? And I think that's the conversation you start with, and then you do that like now, because you have to make decisions in the next week, in the next 5 weeks, to make sure that you start down that road all on the same page.
So, Mike, I think you've identified one of the tricky challenges with the way that they're set up. The person asking those questions is Keith Pelley. Is Keith Pelley qualified to ask those questions and know what the right answers should be? Like, I was thinking as you were talking, like, one of the questions I think they have for the next 6 months, how do we get a number one defenseman or something close to it? But, like, is Keith Pelley asking those questions? Like, what is, you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't feel like it's set up to be successful with him there and no president in between.
I can't speak to Keith Pelley's specific hockey knowledge. The point is, he has the job. That is his job. Or to have confidants, whether he wants to call Bryan Hayes or wants to call Noodles or call you or whoever, like people that would help, guide his opinion if he's not sure what his opinion should be or could be. But that's his job. And again, if you don't think that works, then you have to go above Keith Pelley, which is what? Edward Rogers? And say, or whatever runs MLSE, and say, is he the right guy? But whoever that is, however high you want to go, at some point you have to trust the people, right? So, you got to trust that Keith Pelley, the ultimate decision maker, is capable of making these ultimate decisions. And then you have to trust that Treliving or somebody is, then Craig Berube or somebody is, and the scout or somebody is, and down you go. That's what an organization is. It's a fair question. Keith Pelley is relatively new. He's been around hockey forever, but he's also been around media and golf and a whole bunch of things. But I have to believe if you're the decision maker, you got to be able to make the decisions.
Yeah, that's ultimately the job. Yeah. I mean, and that's it. When you get rid of the president, he's the one.
Well, it's like, think about that. They replaced Brendan Shanahan, who had a really successful run running this team. Obviously, there was stuff that they didn't do right that we've talked about ad nauseum, but he had a long history here, long history as a player, and now he's gone. It's kind of the same thing. He's not been replaced, and in his place is a person who runs MLSE and has a million other things.
The business executive.
Is a busy, it doesn't, imagine if Brendan Shanahan was running like CTV or, you know what I mean? You'd be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
But that's the equivalent.
That's the reality, and he's got to figure that out.
Well, to be fair, I think when Shanny took over, was his title not like he was president of all things and in charge of marketing and sales and business development? I have the ultimate respect for Brendan Shanahan. He's a bright guy. He's not a Harvard MBA, I don't think, right? People in sports worlds get sort of involved in doing things that they are maybe not classically trained to do, whether it's Shanny running a business or whether it's Keith Pelley having, impact on hockey decisions. I don't think that's probably as abnormal in big sporting franchises. Does Bob Kraft know a lot about player personnel?
Good point.
Or, but I bet he's in on it. Jerry Jones is in on it.
But
I think we see this kind of stuff in sports, not that unusual.
Well, keep in mind one last thing here too, is with regardless of what you feel Brendan Shanahan's role was or what he was doing, he's another bright hockey mind in the room that you're lesser than. Yes. You're lesser. Like Brad Treliving can't go to him and say, I'm thinking of doing this. And there's one
resource.
Less hockey brain. Exactly. One less resource. I like having resources in the room that challenge each other. You don't want a bunch of yes men. So that's Brendan Shanahan. You take away a massive hockey brain out of the equation. It weakens the system, regardless of what how you view it. You took out another resource for Brad Treliving.